So what do you think of Mal? Is this reaction true or false? I'm going to start the video in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let go. Albirex Niigata. We're gonna win the league again twice in a row. Yes, Albirex Niigata the best. We're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the treble. We're gonna win the treble. Singaporean teams.
So the lads and I were actually having dinner at one of the places where the most intellectual football conversations actually take place. I'm talking about Broadway Kopitiam, near to Jalan Besar Stadium. That's where like most of the uncles gather around and talk about football tips, betting tips, and you know, very intellectual conversations going on around there. If you haven't been there, drop by and have a listen, because you'll learn something every time you step foot in Broadway Kopitiam. But anyway, going back to the topic, while having dinner with a group of football fans the other day, inevitably, you know, the topic of the upcoming Singapore games actually came into the conversation, or crept into the conversation, and we were having like an argument. You know, people were having differing views on how the team should line up and what should be done to improve the team standing. Now, keeping in mind that Singapore hasn't won a single game since 2016, and the last win that we had came against Cambodia in a friendly, and it was played at Bishan Stadium on 13th of November. We beat Cambodia 1-0, and it was a goal by Yasser Hanafi that salvaged a win for us in the 70th minute. All right, so while talking about the Singapore team and the lineups and Sundram's tactics, you know, the conversation actually moved to naturalization of players. And of course, from there, slowly, it transited into what can be done to bring the crowds into the national stadium. Now, the next two games that we'll be playing against Lebanon, first Lebanon on the 9th of November, and then against Bahrain, which is an AFC Cup qualifier, AFC Asian Cup qualifier, that will be on the 14th of November. Now, these two games will be played at the Singapore Sports Hub. The last time Singapore played at the Sports Hub was against Argentina. After that, right, the couple of games that we played in the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers had been shifted back to Jalan Besar. And for those two games, we couldn't fill up Jalan Besar Stadium. So the concern here is that by shifting the games to the Sports Hub, which is what everybody wants to see, right? Obviously, Singapore being the home of Singapore football, supposedly the Sports Hub, Singapore team should play there. How are we going to fill up the seats? And of course, moving on, the conversation actually transited into what Sundram could do, or what Sundram would do in these two games, looking at our very, very dim chances of advancing to the next round. And well, let's have a listen about to what the lads had to say. I passed the mic around and everyone had an opinion. So I think we made a few good points that evening, and I've decided to make it into a sort of a filler episode, because this is not really a proper podcast episode like what we did in the past. This is more like a filler episode before we actually move on to the next live podcast, where we're going to review the season for the top 4 teams. Let's have a listen.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, it worked in the past, and all the current national teams are also doing it, like France, all this. But the problem is, what is Singapore going to give them back after their playing career? I mean, we see Miko Grabovac and Ekmar Gonçalves. Okay, they actually didn't have any plans, and they have to relinquish their Singapore passport in order to go back to their country. So I think FAS, you have to keep that in store, keep that in mind, so that they have a life after football in Singapore.
So, as a naturalized citizen myself, I would agree with Sal that if you change your citizenship for a job, just to do a job, when that job ends, what do you do with it? So if you were to look at naturalized players who really want to be here, who want to make the future here, like good example is Durich, Mustafi. Okay, Bennett, is not fair to call him a naturalized talent, even though he is. Those are the people who wanted to stay on, maybe because of their backgrounds, maybe because they love Singapore, whatever the reason was, they stayed on. So for me, if you're going to nationalize players, we need to look at if they're going to stay on and contribute to Singapore overall. How do you do that? I don't know.
Okay, the general principle is I have no qualms having naturalized players, especially those who, like Alex. I mean, of course, we know he's a one of a kind, but he said that I choose to be Singaporean. I choose to be to make Singapore my home, rather than Singapore is a stepping stone. Therefore, I can boost my career, and after that, So I agree with Sal and Dil. On principle, we have to think back of why. The key question is what is the end goal? What is the mission of having nationalized players? If we have naturalized players as quick fixers without a long-term plan to develop broad-based our local players to complement, to have an ecosystem, then I think it's a bad idea. However, if let's say having naturalized players are value adds and they don't just come in to play for themselves, but they see the bigger picture, these naturalized players, and say, hey, this is a home that I want to make great. I think I fully welcome them, and as far as I'm concerned, Farah, Alex, etc., right, and Daniel Bennett, they are not foreign. To me, they're not foreign talents even. They are one of us. They are sons of Singapore.
Well, I think the term naturalized Singaporeans or naturalized talent is it's a bit of a false one, and I say false because there's nothing natural about naturalization, right? A lot of countries, what they do is that it's a very deliberate program for them to scout foreign talent in that sense. For example, Philippines, famously what they do is they just go around the world tracking down people with Philippine blood and offering them a chance to play for the Philippines national team. There's nothing wrong with that. Qatar as well. Qatar does that very extensively as well. Nothing wrong with that. Is that the right thing for us to do? I think I echo Merv a little in that I say if it's used as a quick fix and a band-aid, right? Okay, fine, maybe use it as a band-aid, but are you going to treat, if you're going to extend a medical analogy, are you going to just treat the symptoms? So I just put the plaster over it and then I don't do anything about the root cause? No, right? If that's the way, then no. Obviously, I would say then you don't even do with the plaster, because the plaster will help to mask all these symptoms for a while, but then in the long run, everything is just going to explode and it's going to be even worse, right? But if there's a long-term plan, and if people are strong-minded enough to think that, okay, let's say for example, glory scenario, Singapore goes on an unbeaten run and all that because of foreign talent, and right now we're FIFA ranking 60 in the world. The organisation, the FAS, must still be strong enough to recognise that this is because of naturalised talent, and the youth development and the money that goes into youth development must not stop. Because if not, right, if you stop or you somehow prioritise other things instead of this youth development, then you're going to always have to rely on these crutches, and that's obviously not the way we want to go. I touch on the success stories so far, Mustafiz Farudin, Alexander Duric. I think it's very easy for us to say, and Daniel Bennett, it's very easy for us to say that, look, these are the ones we want. Right? We don't want your Angmar Gonçalves, who will go home after a while. You don't want Li Jiawei for table tennis, we want Jing Junhong, who's still in the table tennis arena. We don't want Li Jiawei, but the thing is, it's very difficult to tell. At the start, right, if you ask Mirko Grabovac, does he have any intention of staying? I'm sure he'll say I have every intention of staying. Angmar Gonçalves will probably say the same thing, and that's just not just because I'm a Home United fan, but every one of them will say the same thing. So it's very difficult to suss out, and I can echo the authorities in that regard. And so I think the only way is, if you're going to do it, fine. Let's not neglect youth development. If you're not going to do it, fine. Then all the more you cannot neglect youth development. But either way, you don't neglect youth development. So I think that's the way to go.
We're going to play Lebanon and Bahrain in the national stadium. But it's kind of a very last minute move, which I feel. Do you guys agree with this idea? Are you for the idea or are you against it?
Of what?
Of Singapore playing in the national stadium against these two teams?
I mean, it's good that we get to play the national stadium, because our national stadium is becoming like a white elephant so far. You play gigs and concerts, but not football matches. Come on, we have a pitch there for what? Just to grow carpet, no, right? So I think that it's good to play, but one thing is about at the atmosphere. We did sorely miss the atmosphere of the old Dame So, Singaporeans, are you ready to support the Singapore football even though we are right in the doldrums? I don't know. It's up to you, man. We'll throw the products for you if you come. Yeah, it's true.
I'm very 50-50 on this because for one, we've been playing national team games at Jalan Besar, and as a member of the Brigata Lane City, I feel that we can create a much better atmosphere at Jalan Besar as compared to being at the National Stadium. One being the National Stadium has a lot of strict rules run under Sports Hub, and I foresee a huge problem getting in the logistics and all the flags and banners and the things that we want to do, the drums and everything. They enforce the rules there like crazy, so this will need a lot of communication and they will not be easy to work with at the same time. But if we do it at Jalan Besar, it's easy for us, but then again, it's a smaller stadium, and like I said, like what Sal said, we haven't been utilizing the National Stadium at all. So, I mean, I'm okay with giving it a shot, but let's just see how it goes. Might be a pain in the ass to work there.
But yeah, I echo the point about the atmosphere. I think it's a bit like comparing Loftus Road to Wembley, right? Obviously, Wembley is the more prestigious venue. In this case, the Singapore Sports Hub is a very prestigious venue. There are pros of that happening because, for example, I think every player wants to play in the best stadiums, right? And I mean, back to Sal's point as well, what good is a stadium if all you are holding in there are glamorous concerts, right? I think when the Sports Hub first came out, the idea was that it's multi-purpose. Can be for football, athletics, cricket even. Where's cricket? Where's baseball? I don't see any baseball tournaments, softball tournaments. And obviously this comes down to money, because would I, as a Sports Hub management, rather host a baseball tournament or softball tournament, or would I rather host Justin Bieber? It's quite obvious for me, but that's where I guess the authorities have to come in and really pull some strings or pull some funds together to ensure that these happen at the National Stadium enough, so that it adds a bit of glamour to the proceedings. I love Jalan Besar Stadium, don't get me wrong. I like the fact that the fans are right on top of the players. Singapore versus Malaysia in 2013, I believe, we gave the Malaysians a hard time. We were chanting all sorts of vulgarities at the Malaysians, and that can only happen in Jalan Besar Stadium because unfortunately for us, there's not enough mass at the Sports Hub for similar impact. Brigata Lion City is going to have a hard time as well. Our voices have to echo throughout the whole stadium, which is a cavernous, huge place. So that's not going to be easy. We'll try our best, but we really need Singaporeans to be there. What's going to happen is that obviously Sports Hub is not going to open up the whole stadium. So actually the fans have every chance, every opportunity to join in. If you don't want to chant with us, if you don't know the chants, that's fine. If you don't know the chants but you want to chant, just come and approach us. Just come and talk to us. We will teach you on the fly. We'll even dedicate one or two guys. Maybe we'll be a bit softer, but they'll just teach on the spot. You can just be part of us. If you are a bit shyer, you want to sit near us and just clap along, that's fine as well. There's everything, there's a start. So I encourage Singaporeans to come down. Even if you don't want to be part of Brigada Lion City, just clap along, chant along, or at least create some atmosphere. Let's bring back some raw to the Kallang Stadium.
Alright, so to add on to what Eddie said, if you want to come down and join, please call Donovan at 97200. You're not going to do that to him, but but yeah, as everyone said, a stadium is as good as the people inside the stadium making the noise. Please come down and support us.
Okay, gents, I have this question for you guys. Against Hong Kong, against Turkmenistan, we couldn't even fill Jalan Besar, and that's only 6,000. Alright, let's say, assuming that they don't open the upper tier, just open the bottom tier, okay? 25 to 30,000. We did manage to pull something similar to that at the first game of the S.League this season. Between Albirex and Tampines, we had about close to 20,000 fans. This time round, how is FAS, how can we, or what suggestions do we have for FAS to bring in the crowds? Because I'm sure what Sundram and the Lions need right now are for big crowds to support them. Have any ideas that you might want to share?
Yeah, just pretend that this is a cup final for Singapore. Singaporeans will come down.
For me, eventually the end product must be there. If Sundram, you want fans to come down and support Singapore, well, let's just say that your players must be in tip-top condition and be ready to face the likes of Bahrain and who's the other one? are in Lebanon. I mean, we used to beat them. Why is it impossible to beat them now? You might think about it.
Two ways you can go about this. Number one, you call Shawala Anwar to play. Number two, you call up Hougang United Place and all the Hools will come. Just kidding lah. But yeah, you know, I think Sundram has to call the players that deserve to be called up, and I think people will come to turn up and see the players play. You know, Sports Hub is going to be huge. We couldn't fill Jalan Besar at the last two games, but maybe because the game is being played at Sports Hub, more people want to come. I think we just have to push advertise the game more, promote the game more. So if you see the flyers or the posters or anything on Facebook, just click the share button. It's not that hard. Share now, you don't need anything, just share it with your friends.
It's quite simple. There's so much space, right? Just give free attendance to students lah. I think FAS should just like reach out to schools. Just give them free attendance to students. Anyway, there's a very legit reason for doing so. Income wise, they don't earn anything. So instead of charging them $1, I mean, why do that? Just make it free for them. I know this time around it's not being done because I've seen concession prices coming out and all that. But what FAS can do is just to, there are concession prices, but at the same time they can reach out to certain schools. I don't know, maybe those that did well in the inter-schools tournaments. Right, invite those schools down. Maybe 50 tickets for each school or something like that. I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah, I echo Eddie's point about free tickets for the students. And let's not forget about the old folks now. Yeah. Something free, they might turn up. Give them a free T-shirt.
So I'm gonna turn it around. Aaron, what do you think?
I think what Eddie suggested is a really good idea. Is it being done? Free tickets. But I think this would be a very good time for them to really engage the grassroots. The various grassroots that are based, you don't have to go to the whole of Singapore, but maybe around Kallang area, Old Airport area, and just get them to bring their people down and not just focus on the match, but really create a match day experience for them. Have a carnival outside the sports hub or something like that for the kids to come, have challenges, you can have basketball, other sports outside the stadium. They should do something like that. But I'm not sure whether the scale is too massive for FAS themselves. But if they can work with People's Association, perhaps we can get something going.
I think obviously it's a bit idealistic to expect FAS to do everything. But what I think is that if FAS can serve as a bridge or facilitator for many initiatives that corporates even will get behind. For example, within the match day group, we were talking about how home United games, obviously they're not very well attended, just like many other S.League games. What can we do about that? Can we perhaps use the empty seats as a tool to engage the disadvantaged members of community? For example, at-risk kids or orphans, right? There's a poster that we saw the other day about physically disabled kids who said I love football too. Would you watch a football game with me? And it got us thinking. So in the match day group, we were all thinking, actually, yeah, that's true. Since the stadiums are not full anyway, why don't we use the opportunity to do a good deed? We can accompany some orphans down, show them, this is local football, explain to them what it's all about. Similarly, Sports Hub, come on, there's so many seats, right? Sure, FAS, there's no capability in there to bring out, let's say, 5 orphanages of 20 students each. No way they can do it, right? Because you need care. But can they put up a marketing campaign to get volunteers? Of course they can. Will you be able to find 100 people in Singapore who are willing to take orphans out to watch a football game? Of course you can, right? I refuse to believe that Singaporeans won't do that. So maybe this has to be a two-way thing. So to be fair to FAS, maybe this hasn't been floated to them before, right? And so as fans, what we can do is float the ideas to them and hope that they can give us backing in terms of marketing support. It doesn't even have to be money. Maybe they can just help us put out publicity, get volunteers, and if the fans show that they're professional enough in their approach, I think FAS have no excuse, no reason to not back us.
Okay, our final topic. Let's move into more controversial territory. Let's talk about Sundram. Alright? As football fans and fans of Singapore, what are you expecting from Sundram this time round? Given that probably even winning against Bahrain wouldn't give us access to the next round unless a miracle happens in the other match between Turkmenistan and Taipei. Do you expect him to call out the same players again and see the same old faces? Or are you expecting him to do something different this time around? Okay, we pass the mic around, everybody has a chance to speak. If you don't wish to speak, just hand the mic over to the next person.
Just a quick one. I think since we want to plan for the longer distant future, I think Sundram should not just think for himself, his future, but also plan for the future development of Singapore. Take the risk, call young players. You never know, you might be surprised. That's my opinion.
Examples?
I was about to say if what, but that's too extreme an example. But something like that, those who have shown to surprise before. Iqbal, but I know Iqbal has been called up before. I'm just giving an example. Yeah.
I think Sundram will call the same players, but I like to see some new faces. Shawal Anwar, where is Shawal Anwar? Please call Shawal Anwar. Thank you.
Yeah, I actually agree with what Amshar said. I think Shawal deserves deserves a place in the national team. I think he has been knocking on the door for the longest time, and I think this is coming from like a Tampines supporter, who are obviously direct rivals with Geylang. I think when I watched the last Geylang game against DPMM, I can see that a lot of times actually he tracked back to win the ball back. So obviously he can potentially do a job for you if they decide to park the bus again. I think he can attack and defend. And yeah, apart from that, I think Hami from Young Lions, I think he has been one of the stand-up players for them this season. One of the more solid number 10 in the league as a whole. So I think he deserves a place as well.
Well, the original question was what we think Sundram will do, right? I think he will go with the tried and tested players. I don't entirely blame him because at the end of the day, his job is on the line. It's easy for us to say, let's call all the youngsters, but he needs backing from FAS for that to happen. If FAS is willing to say, you know what, screw the results, we just want an entertaining game of football. Well, there are pros and cons to that. So let's say he delivers an entertaining game but loses 5-2 or something like that. What happens then? Singapore football, as you know, is in a downward spiral. We're drawing games. Whenever we draw games, we're like, hey, we didn't lose. But that's terrible, And honestly, as much as we don't like fair weather fans, they are part of the landscape as well. Right? And I think Singapore would do better even if we have to rely on some of the fair weather fans, because fair weather fans are always a great indicator of success of the team. Right? Would I rather the fair weather fans come back? Yes, because that means the team is successful. Right? So I think Sundram will stick with try and tested. I hope he doesn't, but I think he will.
Alright, I just want to post this to Sundram as a personal opinion. Hey, Macha, when do you last win a game? Huh? I just want to say to you, okay, you keep selecting the same people, okay, but yet, okay, you yet to win a game since 2016, okay, try to play I tell you, Khairul Nizam is not the only striker, and Khairul Amri also, okay, you got a lot of local strikers, okay, try them, okay, try to see whether they can do it, because right now, it's very impossible for you to win any games. It's very impossible for you to qualify even for the Asian Cup. So just try them. Treat this as a trial and test for those upcoming strikers. You got young players, people like Hamid Shaheen, Muhammad Suhaimi, maybe Gerald Ting, Justin Hui, Shawal Anwar, Ifwat Ismail, Hanafi Akbar, Jonathan Tan, Huzaifah, Waris Farhan. See, I can name the entire team for you, okay? I can become like Mourinho for you. But then, one thing is, okay, yes, you have to mix the experience and of course the new players. Okay, so for you, Sundram, Macha, please go and do it the right way.
So, who's Sundarama? Is that the uncle who parks the buses in Jalan Besar? Anyways, so I agree with a lot of the others that I believe is just gonna. I'm not gonna say he's gonna go back to what he did maybe like a couple of months ago. What he tried out with Hong Kong and Turkmenistan, the 3-4-3. But does he have the players to do that, or is he gonna shoehorn Safwan Baharuddin everywhere on the pitch other than goalkeeper? Right. So is he gonna do that? Is he gonna be able to get more than 2 goals in this match, or more than 1 goal in the match, which we haven't done in 1 year? I don't know. I hope he will mix up the teams and he'll give Shawal Anwar a call up and a start, if possible.
Well, I hope to see a more adventurous Singapore team playing in the last two games. I think it's about time to test some of the new players in, not just the Fundy brothers, but I would also like to see more younger players like Shawa, Darren Tay to be inside the national team. Well, we got nothing to lose now. I think we can build on the momentum now to the next Suzuki Cup. So let's explore more players and hopefully we can do much better during next Suzuki Cup.